Welcome to Carly Tackles, a dog crate greenhouse. If you have a dog crate laying around your house, this too can be yours. There's only a few materials required, and it doesn't cost too much to purchase them. It costs about $30, not counting the dog crate, to make this. If you have cats at home, you might appreciate this design. Also, you can move it around. It has a handle on the dog crate that we will leave room for, and you can carry it wherever the sun tells you to go. And the great news is, it's still a dog crate. You did not ruin it by any means. Here is a closer look of the materials that I purchased in order to make the dog crate. Now, depending on the size of the dog crate, you might need more of the materials or more of the roofing. I just had a small dog crate that measured about 30 inches long, 21 inches high, and 18 3/4 inches wide. So if your dog crate's a little bit bigger, you're going to need more materials. To start this project off, I measured the size and tops and back of the dog crate, and I'm transferring that onto this clear roofing. Using a tape measure and a black Sharpie marker was ideal in making my marks. I did try some T-squares and a few things like that, but it was just best to make these marks along the way, and then with snippers, cut it out. Now, you don't have to be too precise. You can leave it a little bit bigger as you're doing this, and then when you attach it to the dog crate, you can then take your snippers and trim it if you would like. Otherwise, if you have a tight fit build, you might want to cut it more accurately, which is where I am right now. Since the two sides have the exact same measurement, once you cut out one of your side pieces, you can place it on your remaining roofing and just trace around it and cut it out. I also found it useful to use the pieces I cut to help me draw straight lines on the roofing. Even though the top is not the same dimensions as the side, I can still use that edge to help me draw my lines. I started with the top piece, placed it on top, made sure all of the edges were covering. It wasn't 100% square like the dog crate, so I'm using my marker and kind of drawing the lines on the edges where I need to trim. And I also marked where the handle is, and then I will take it over and cut it to fit better. It doesn't have to be perfect by any means, but you do kind of want to keep the heat in a little bit. Now, the whole idea of this roofing is it has its own venting because it's rippled to allow that air to escape so you don't get too humid for your plants. So it's kind of like built-in venting. After I make this final cut, the top should be square, and it's time to turn our attention to the handle. To make an opening for my snippers to fit in, I'm going to use a power drill with a drill bit that's big enough that I can fit one of the edges of the snippers inside of it and cut out the hole I need for the handle. When you're done cutting, it's time to check your work. Flip the handle up and then see how the roofing fits. Is it still lined up to the crate? Should be. Next, I'm making little marks on the roof where I want to drill holes for the zip ties. I'm trying to plan it out so that the bottom of that crate, I have a few wires, and I want to try to do diagonals so it can't slide left, right, top, bottom, so it holds it snug. So try to plan out your hole so you can get a good hold and prevent a lot of sliding. I'm also drilling the holes and fastening at one end before I move to the other side. Here is a closer look at that process. I was able to get a better camera angle on this side to really show you where I'm drilling the holes and how I'm placing the zip ties. When I first insert the zip ties and close them, I don't pull them too snug right away. I make sure all of my zip ties are in first in the drilled holes, and then I pull them tight once they're all in place. Once I'm satisfied with my zip ties, I cut off the ends with my snippers. Once you have the top done, it's time to move on to one of the sides. The sides won't be as easy because gravity is pulling it down on you, so you might want to mark a few spots and get a few holes drilled to help hold it up before you continue to move around the edges and get all the fasteners in place. You could also roll the crate onto its other side and put the plastic on the top. That way you're not fighting gravity. I think you're getting the general idea here. You place your plastic up to the crate, drill a few holes that line up to the crate bars, insert a few zip ties, kind of get them in place before you tighten them, and away you go. You basically repeat the same process for the sides, the back, and the front. The back, just an FYI, because it's in the back, might be a little bit harder for you to get your arms in there to do the zip ties. Also, I was trying to maximize one sheet of roughing to work for me, which means by the time I was cutting out the top and the sides, I didn't really have a good one piece for the back. Here's something that you can try if you want. I measured it out and cut little, we'll call them strips, and then you can piece them together with the same zip tie drill hole technique that I did earlier, and we can make one solid sheet out of a few, just like you would out of board. You can kind of glue them together and clamp, only this way we're using zip ties. And so that's how I made my back. When it came to install, it installed the same. I marked where I wanted to drill, put a few zip ties in, and I was good to go. I saved the front for last. I had to be careful with what materials I truly had left and make sure that door can open and close. So as you can see, I'm kind of measuring, holding my pieces up, and then cutting them on the fly. Remember, I'm trying to get the most out of that one sheet of roughing, so I'm running low on materials. I'm also using some scrap pieces for the front door, making sure that it's smaller than the door so when it opens it doesn't hit the other roof panel. Well, here you have it. Notice that my lock completely shut and locked without interfering with any of the roofing. That's key. I also did run out a little bit of roofing there in the middle, but it was pretty close. The sides are fully covered, as well as the back and the tops to help keep some of that heat in. And the dogs and cats cannot get into it. Now all you have to do is put some plants and seeds. And if you're a little techie like me, may I suggest a temperature and humidity sensor that you can track how well your greenhouse is performing. If you're curious about that, please ask questions. I will respond. Thanks for watching Carly Tackles DIY, Tools and Gadgets, Tips and Tricks. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to get notifications when I release new content.